Hi everyone, it's been a while. If you haven't seen me before, my name is Eddie and I make ProShot. In today's video, I'll be going over all the changes that made it to ProShot this year, as well as answering your most frequently asked question, what happened to ProShot 9? And I'll begin by answering that question first. If you've been following along, you'll know that I launched the ProShot 9 update on iOS late last year and promised that the Android update would be coming soon. In that time, I unfortunately had a pretty serious medical emergency and I wasn't able to work for about 6 months, which wasn't fun. But it gave me time to kind of take a step back and look at what's happening in the Android camera space. And I saw a couple frustrations that kept popping up. Frustrations over lens selection, frustrations over OS updates, sometimes breaking the camera, and things of that nature. So I decided to put 9.0 development temporarily to the side to focus on addressing those issues first. With that said, I still shipped a ton of updates and new features to ProShot on Android and iOS this year, so let's get started. First with Android. Now, I don't have this whole list memorized, so if you'll forgive me, I'm gonna have to read it off this iPad. Beginning with the hardware optimizer. Now, the hardware optimizer is a feature I introduced in 2023 that performs a deep scan of the camera hardware and is able to expose certain camera features that the device manufacturer may have hidden from third-party access. Features like shutter speed range, video frame rates and resolutions, and more. Now, in 2024, this hardware scanner got a lot smarter and was able to scan the hardware even more in order to expose those sorts of camera features that, for some reason, device manufacturers seem to commonly hide from third-party apps, which is a huge win. Next up are lens modes. Now, this one's a bit of a rabbit hole, so I'm going to do my best to explain it in as simple terms as possible. On newer Android hardware, you'll often find devices with multiple cameras. And these cameras function as groups. So you are able to smoothly transition from one lens to another based on your zoom level. This is, I'll call it automatic lens switching. Now, the expectation is if you zoom past a certain level, that the lens will automatically switch to, say, the telephoto lens. In often cases, this doesn't actually happen. So what's happening behind the scenes is the camera module is making the determination that based on lighting conditions and shutter speed, you may get a better photo just using the wide-angle lens, no matter how much you zoom in. And for those of us who have certain expectations about how the camera behaves in a consistent way, it can be a little bit frustrating. So lens modes were introduced this year that will allow you to, when you tap that lens button, you'll actually be getting a photo from that lens. Next up is raw capture from auxiliary lenses. Now this one's a bit of a weird one because for a while, Android was only allowing raw capture to come from the main lens. And if you have a camera module with multiple lenses, you'd still only be able to get raw from that main lens. So an update came to ProShot this year that allows raw capture to happen from all the lenses. It's a bit of a weird problem to figure out due to the design of the camera API, but I'm glad it's there. Next up are developer controls. Now, I've been noticing for a while that device manufacturers can sometimes limit third-party app access to the camera hardware. I did my best to overcome this automatically with the previously mentioned hardware optimizer, but sometimes you need a little bit extra control over the camera capture pipeline in order to get the best results out of your device. So with developer controls, I've added things like control over the viewfinder processing pipeline, which is useful for histogram and focus peaking, but sometimes may not be compatible with RAW and JPEG capture. So if you're running into issues with RAW capture or RAW and JPEG capture, you may want to disable viewfinder processing in order to get that to work on your device. And there's other fun controls like increasing the maximum shutter speed, which can allow your device to potentially go beyond the manufacturer's limits on long shutter speed capture. Next is improved hardware access. So this year I improved how ProShot accesses the camera hardware and greatly sped up mode switching and lens switching and camera launches. You'll especially notice this on lower end and older hardware, and it's a big win just for performance and reliability. And finally, this is kind of a big list, but I improved 8K support, control over image sharpening, improved viewfinder placement on taller aspect ratio devices, bracketing fixes, vignette, and a whole lot more. Next up is iOS. Now, iOS saw a huge update with ProShot 9, so my focus this year was on efficiency and polish. A lot of work went on behind the scenes to reduce CPU usage, reduce power consumption, improve battery life, and overall make the camera experience smoother and faster. As we know, over time, apps tend to get slower and slower, and it's my goal with ProShot to make it faster and faster. Other big changes include lock screen support. Now, this is one of my favorite features to come to ProShot in a long time because it finally allows you to launch ProShot from your lock screen without putting in your password. And this gives you access to the full suite of ProShot controls right from your lock screen, and it's actually really amazing to use in day-to-day life. Next is support for iPhone 16 capture controls. Now, these capture controls are that physical button that appears on the side of iPhone 16 devices and allow you quick access to focus, ISO, exposure, and more controls, and it's pretty fun to use. Next is 2x zoom support. So this is 2x zoom support on devices that may or may not have that telelens, but do have large enough image sensors to get that 2x zoom level without compromising image quality. And finally, there's a whole host of other changes, including UI improvements, quicker mode changes and lens changes, faster app launch, metadata control, fixes for ProRAW, ProRes, high-res capture, and a whole lot more. All right, that's it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for your support and wish you all a happy and prosperous 2025. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.